Have you ever felt a shift in the air so profound it chills you to the bone, even when you're warm in your own bed? The night my world shattered wasn't marked by a thunderclap, but by the faint, cold glow of a phone screen at 2 in the morning. I lay there, pretending to be asleep, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. My wife, Sarah, the woman I had built a life with, was propped up on her elbow, her face illuminated by that little screen. She was smiling, a secret, intimate smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. A tiny, almost imperceptible movement of her lips confirmed my deepest fear. She was mouthing words to someone on a video call, someone who wasn't me. I couldn't hear the audio, but I didn't need to. The betrayal was a silent movie playing out just inches from my face. I was forced to watch the final, devastating scene. If you enjoy our stories, please hit that subscribe button. And let us know where you're rewatching from and what time it is. It's always fascinating to see how far our stories travel around the globe. The change had been gradual, a slow poisoning of the home we'd built together in our quiet Chicago suburb. It started with her phone, which became an extension of her hand, always angled away from me, always silenced. Then came the late nights at the office, the so-called girls' weekends that left her looking more exhausted than refreshed. Whenever I'd ask, her answers were clipped, dismissive. "You're being paranoid, James," she'd say, her voice dripping with a new kind of coldness, a manipulative edge that made me question my own sanity. The villains in this story, her and him, they felt untouchable, wrapped in a bubble of their own arrogance. I was just the collateral damage, the fool who paid the mortgage and kept the lights on. The discovery wasn't a single event, but a series of paper cuts to the soul. A credit card bill with a charge for a room at the Drake Hotel on a night she was supposedly at a conference in Naperville. A single, misplaced earring in her car that I knew wasn't hers. Each piece of evidence was a fresh wave of humiliation. I remember one evening I tried to talk to her, to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. I found her in the kitchen, texting furiously. I asked who she was talking to. She looked up, her eyes flat and hard. "It's just work, James. God, can you give me a second to breathe?" She made me feel like an intruder in my own home, a nuisance. That night I broke. I went out to the garage, sat in the cold darkness of my car, and the tears I'd been holding back for months finally came. It was a gut-wrenching silent sob, the sound of a man realizing his entire life was a lie. But from that breakdown, something new was born. The loyal, loving husband was buried in that garage that night. What emerged was a strategist, a man with a singular, ruthless purpose. My grief hardened into a cold, clear resolve. She wanted a war. I would give her a masterpiece of destruction. I started gathering proof. I installed a keylogger on the family computer, capturing every whispered secret. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who had seen it all and wasn't surprised by any of it. His reports were clinical, brutal. Photos of Sarah and him, Mark, a smug-looking finance bro from her office kissing outside a restaurant on Rush Street, holding hands in Lincoln Park. Every picture was another nail in the coffin I was building for her. Through the investigation, I learned Mark was married too. A perfect, symmetrical betrayal. The trap was set in 3 parts: social, financial, and legal. I waited for our anniversary. I knew she'd be expecting a fight, or worse, my pathetic pleading for her to stay. Instead, I played the part of the devoted husband. I booked a table at Gibson's, our favorite steakhouse. I even bought her a new diamond necklace. Her relief was palpable. She thought she had me completely fooled. That night she was glowing, arrogant, drunk on her own deception. She even had the audacity to wear the new necklace, a symbol of the life she was so casually throwing away. The night of the party, our annual charity fundraiser, was the stage. Our house was filled with over 100 people, our friends, family, her colleagues, and my most important clients. And of course, Mark was there with his wife, a sweet, unsuspecting woman named Emily. Sarah was in her element, the queen of her castle, completely oblivious to the storm about to break over her head. At precisely 9 p.m., as I was scheduled to give my annual toast, the lights dimmed. But instead of a slideshow of our happy memories, the large projector screen I'd rented for the occasion flickered to life with something else entirely. It started with the photos: Sarah and Mark at the hotel, Sarah and Mark in his car, And the texts, the emails, every sordid detail I had collected displayed in high definition for everyone to see. A collective gasp sucked the air out of the room. I saw Sarah's face drain of color, her arrogant smile melting into pure horror. I turned to Mark's wife, Emily, and handed her a thick file. "I'm so sorry, Emily," I said, my voice steady and clear. "This is everything you need for your lawyer." The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Her world imploded in a matter of minutes. Her parents, who were standing in the crowd, looked at her with utter disgust before turning their backs and walking out. Her boss, also in attendance, fired her the next day for unprofessional conduct and bringing disrepute to the company. Mark's wife filed for divorce immediately, using the mountain of evidence I'd given her to take him for everything he had. I had already filed that morning, and our prenuptial agreement, which she had laughed at when we signed it years ago, was ironclad. She got nothing. The house was mine. Her car was mine. Her reputation was utterly destroyed. She was a social pariah, an outcast in the community she once ruled. The last I heard, she was working a dead-end job and living in a tiny apartment on the outskirts of the city. She was completely, utterly ruined. Sometimes late at night, I walk through the quiet halls of this big, empty house. I don't feel triumph, not anymore. There's no satisfaction in the victory, just a hollow echo where life used to be. I destroyed her, yes, but I had to burn down my own world to do it. And the silence she left behind is the loudest thing I've ever heard. Thank you for listening.